His son lay unconscious under a flickering hospital light, tubes in his nose, color fading from his tiny face. The doctor said, "We need $128,000 or we'll lose him." The single dad's hands trembled as he looked down at his empty wallet. That's when a woman in a sharp white suit stepped out of the elevator, locked eyes with him, and said one sentence that would change their entire future. "Send the bill to me." The emergency room didn't smell like hope. It smelled like antiseptic, sweat, and fear. Nathan Carter stood frozen, his back against the beige wall, arms trembling as he clutched a teddy bear soaked from the pouring rain outside. His flannel shirt stuck to his skin, heavy from the storm he'd sprinted through just to reach this hospital, just to get his son here. Before it was too late, beside him, behind glass, 6-year-old Dylan lay unconscious on the hospital bed, his tiny chest rising and falling with mechanical rhythm. The car accident had been minor, but Dylan's internal injuries were not. A ruptured spleen, a concussion, a rare complication that demanded emergency surgery. And Nathan couldn't afford a toothbrush some days, let alone a surgery. "Worth 6 figures, Mr. Carter," said the ER doctor, glancing over his chart. "We need to operate within the hour, but your insurance doesn't cover this specialist procedure." "I'm sorry, but unless the deposit is paid, I don't care about insurance," Nathan snapped, voice raw. "He's my son. You save him, please." His hands curled into fists, voice breaking into something desperate. "I'll pay anything. I swear, I'll figure it out." The doctor hesitated. "We have policies." Nathan wanted to scream, but he didn't. Instead, he lowered his eyes to his boy, pale, unmoving. Tubes threaded like vines through his nose, his wrist, even his tiny ankle. His son, who collected bottle caps like they were gold coins, who whispered "Daddy" in his sleep, who always gave up his last fry just to see Nathan smile. The nurse came back with a clipboard. "I'm sorry, but if we can't start prep within the hour, I said I'll pay," Nathan barked, voice echoing across the hall. The nurses flinched. The other parents turned away. His voice didn't sound like his anymore. It sounded like a father watching his world slip away. And then the elevator at the end of the corridor dinged. The doors parted with a gentle chime. Out stepped a woman in ivory heels, her long coat swaying like paper in the air. She was elegance and power all at once. Her face unreadable, sharp cheekbones, smooth skin, hair tied back in a sleek twist, and those eyes piercing, calm, predatory almost. She looked out of place in this world of vending machines and trauma. But as her gaze swept the corridor, it stopped, locked on Nathan. She walked toward him slowly, her heels a steady rhythm. Nathan barely noticed her until she stopped a feet in front of him. "Mr. Carter," she said calmly, as if they'd spoken before. "I overheard. You can't afford the surgery." Nathan blinked. "Who?" I said. She repeated. "Send the bill to me." Nathan blinked hard, the fluorescent lights above him suddenly too bright. For a moment, he thought he'd misheard her. Maybe the stress was finally making him hallucinate. "I what?" he said hoarsely, still gripping the rain-soaked teddy bear. "I said," the woman repeated, eyes unwavering, "send the bill to me." He took a shaky step back. "You don't even know me." She gave a slight smile. "Not warm, not cold, just calm." "That's true. But I know desperation. I recognize it when I see it." The doctor reappeared behind the glass. "Mr. Carter, we have 15 minutes left. We need a decision." Nathan's voice cracked. "Who are you?" The woman extended a slim, manicured hand. "Evelyn March, and I'm not here by coincidence." Nathan stared at her like she was from another planet. He'd spent the last 2 years juggling night shifts at the steel mill, patching roofs on weekends, and selling his guitar collection piece by piece just to buy groceries. And now here was a woman in a white suit offering to cover a $128,000 surgery like it was a grocery bill. "I don't understand," he whispered. "Why would you help someone like me?" Evelyn tilted her head, then reached into her clutch and pulled out a business card. It had only her name, a private number, and a single word embossed in silver foil: "Foundations. I run a small, discreet initiative," she said. We help people who've fallen through the cracks, good people. People who never had a chance. Like you, like your son. Nathan didn't know whether to cry or curse. His pride screamed no. His heart screamed say yes. He looked back through the glass. Dylan was still unconscious. A nurse adjusted his fore. I don't have anything to give back, he said quietly. Evelyn studied him. Maybe not now, but life has a way of circling back. She nodded to the clipboard. Let me help. No strings, just help. Nathan's throat tightened. No one had ever said those words to him, not without wanting something. But then Evelyn did something that stopped him cold. She looked past him, through the glass, and whispered, I had a son once too. Nathan didn't ask what that meant. He just nodded, and for the first time in years, he let someone carry part of his burden. 2 hours later, Dylan was in surgery. Nathan stood by the vending machine with shaking hands and a fresh hospital wristband. Evelyn sat nearby, her coat folded neatly on the chair. He finally broke the silence. Why were you even at this hospital? I had a board meeting, she said. I walked past there and saw you shouting. Nathan laughed bitterly. Yeah, that must have been a great first impression. She looked at him, serious. It reminded me of someone I used to be, someone I thought I'd buried a long time ago. Nathan didn't ask further. Something about her told him she wasn't ready to say more. But something had shifted, not just in his son's fate, in his and Nathan didn't know it yet, but the price of kindness. It wasn't always paid in cash. Sometimes it was paid in truth, in redemption, and in blood. 3 days later. The beep of the heart monitor was no longer the loudest sound in the room. Daddy? Nathan jolted upright in the hospital chair, neck stiff from sleeping, half sitting, half praying. Dylan's voice was weak, but it was there, clear, soft, alive. He rushed to his son's side. Hey buddy, I'm right here. His fingers brushed back Dylan's curly hair as tears welled in his eyes. You scared me. I had a dream. Dylan whispered. You were crying. Nathan chuckled through tears. That wasn't a dream, kiddo. Outside the room's window, Evelyn stood quietly with her arms crossed. She didn't come in. She just watched. She wasn't the type to need recognition. But Nathan saw her, later that night, as Dylan slept peacefully for the first time in days. Nathan stepped into the hallway and approached her. I don't know how to thank you, he said. I mean, there's nothing I can say or give that'll make up for what you did. I didn't do it for a thank you. He nodded, but something in his gut twisted. Why me, really? You said you had a son, that you lost him. Evelyn's jaw tightened slightly. He died 10 years ago. Hit and run. They never found the driver. Nathan lowered his eyes. I'm so sorry, it changed me, she said. Not just the grief, the rage, the silence after. I had money, connections, and none of it could fix what happened. So I started Foundations, quietly, off the record. I thought if I could save someone else's child, maybe I'd sleep through the night again. Nathan looked her in the eye, and as it helped, her gaze didn't waver. Some nights, there was a long pause. Then Nathan reached into his pocket and pulled out the folded business card she'd given him. Is this really all you do? Help people and disappear? I don't disappear, she said. I just wait until they're ready to help the next person. Nathan frowned. What if they never are? She turned, started to walk away, then paused. Then I helped one more person in a world that rarely helps anyone at all. The next morning, Evelyn didn't come, nor the day after. But on the third day, the nurse walked in and handed Nathan a thick envelope. Inside was a set of discharge papers and a notarized document. Dylan's surgery, recovery, medications, all paid in full. Not a single dollar owed. There was no letter, no goodbye, just a post-it stuck to the bottom of the final page. One sentence, in neat handwriting. Be the man he'll remember. Nathan stared at the note for a long time. Then he folded it, slipped it into his wallet behind the only photo he had of him and Dylan together. Taken on a bus ride months ago when they still lived in a shelter. Something was changing. But what Nathan didn't know was that Evelyn hadn't disappeared. She was watching from a distance. And she wasn't done. Not yet. Because Nathan's story wasn't over, and neither was hers. A month passed. The sun came back. So did hope. Nathan found a part-time job at a local tire shop. Modest, honest work. Dylan returned home with a scar on his side and a quiet bravery in his heart. Every night, they'd sit on their thrift store couch eating cheap cereal and watching old superhero movies. Life wasn't easy, but it finally felt livable. Still, the note Evelyn had left never left Nathan's mind. Be the man he'll remember. He tried. God, he tried. But some debts don't settle easy, not when they're buried under mystery. One afternoon, Nathan picked Dylan up from school early. They were walking past a coffee shop downtown when a man in a blue jacket bumped into Nathan, hard enough to knock the folder from his hand. "Sorry," the man muttered, bending down to help. But he froze. His eyes dropped to the business card that slipped from Nathan's pocket. "Where did you get that?" the man asked sharply. Nathan looked at him, confused. "It was given to me." "Why?" The man's eyes narrowed. "You're involved with foundations?" "Involved? No, I just someone helped my son. That's all." The man straightened, now serious. "Listen to me. Be careful who you think is helping you, especially Evelyn March." Nathan felt a chill coil in his gut. "You know her?" "I knew her husband," the man said. "He ran a pharmaceutical company, big money, but he died under strange circumstances. There were rumors, internal embezzlement, a hidden child. Evelyn vanished after that, until foundations showed up, and suddenly she was playing savior." Nathan's mouth went dry. "I thought she was just kind," he said defensively. "She saved my son." "She doesn't do anything without reason," the man replied. "Look around. No one gives away that kind of money without strings unless they're trying to bury something." Nathan stood frozen as the man walked off, back home. He opened his laptop and typed Evelyn March plus foundations. Most of the results were vague. A few charity listings, one interview in a magazine brief, polished, evasive. But one link caught his attention. March Pharma linked to 2014 whistleblower's disappearance. Evelyn March declined to comment. He clicked it. The article was old, brief, inconclusive. Still, that night, as Dylan slept, Nathan pulled out the envelope Evelyn had sent. On the inside corner, almost missed, was a set of initials pressed into the edge of a document. EM/F6. The next day, Nathan drove to the address listed on the foundation's business card. A tall, anonymous building in the city, gray brick, no signage. He walked in. At the front desk, a man in a blazer looked up. "Can I help you? I need to speak to Evelyn March." The man blinked. "I'm sorry. There's no one here by that name." Nathan set the business card on the desk. "She gave me this." The man hesitated, then picked up the phone, whispered something, then handed Nathan a key card. "Floor 6, room 24. The elevator ride felt like hours. When the doors opened, the hallway was quiet, carpeted, no windows." He approached room 24. Knocked once, the door opened by itself. Inside, Evelyn sat behind a wide desk, lit by soft gold lamps. Her expression didn't change. "You shouldn't be here," she said. "I need answers," Nathan replied. Stepping inside, "Who are you really? Why me? Why my son?" She didn't flinch. "Sit." He did. Evelyn opened a drawer and slid a folder across the desk. Inside, photos, documents, a report from 6 years ago. At the top, Nathan Carter, confidential clearance denied. Project EM/F6. "What is this?" "My husband's company," she said quietly, "developed a drug, one that could regenerate tissue faster than anything before. But it was unstable, dangerous. The trials failed." Nathan's blood turned to ice. "My husband pushed ahead anyway," Evelyn continued. "He used prisoners, homeless patients, children. One of them died." Nathan stared at the document in horror. "I tried to stop him. He disappeared before the board found out. They buried it. And I buried him." Nathan stood slowly. "So you started helping people to atone?" Evelyn looked up, her voice barely above a whisper. "I started helping people because once I didn't, and I'll carry that guilt until the day I die." Nathan turned to leave but stopped. "You still haven't answered one question," he said. Eyes locked on hers. "Why me?" Evelyn exhaled. "Because you were Supposed to be part of the trial 6 years ago. Your name was on the list. But you missed the screening. Dylan was supposed to be injected. Nathan's knees buckled. What? I kept the files, she whispered. Your son was almost a number in a report. Silence. I owe you both a life, she said. That's why I paid. Nathan left the building in a storm of silence, and when he walked into Dylan's room that night, his son looked up and smiled. Hey, Dad. Nathan smiled too, but something inside him had cracked. Now, he didn't just owe Evelyn his gratitude. He owed her his judgment. Nathan couldn't sleep. He sat in the dark living room, arms resting on his knees, staring at the note Evelyn had left weeks ago. Be the man he'll remember. It haunted him now, not because it was kind, but because it was loaded with guilt, loaded with secrets, with blood. She hadn't saved Dylan out of kindness. She'd saved him to erase a sin. And now Nathan couldn't look at his own son without remembering. Dylan almost became a lab rat in a backroom experiment, an F6 subject, a statistic. And if he'd shown up to that screening 6 years ago, he wouldn't have been a father anymore. That thought made him want to throw up. The next morning, Nathan did something he never thought he'd do. He called a reporter. Her name was Cassidy Lane. Investigative, sharp. She'd written the 2014 article about Evelyn's husband. I know something, Nathan said on the phone. Something big. I have files, documents. They met at a diner outside the city. Cassidy sat across from him, recorder off, coffee untouched. Why now? She asked. Why not let it go? Nathan's voice was low. Because I almost lost my son. Because people like her, they think money wipes away blood. He paused. And because if I don't speak, I'm no better than the man who almost used my son as a test subject. Cassidy leaned forward. You realize exposing this could shut down her whole charity, right? Foundations. Everything. People depend on it. I know, Nathan said, jaw clenched. But truth doesn't get to hide behind kindness. He gave her the folder. Every page Evelyn had shown him, every name, every failed subject. Run it, he said. The article dropped 3 days later. The billionaire widow who bought. Redemption, inside Evelyn March's secret past. The internet exploded. News cycles spun. TV hosts debated. Some called Evelyn a monster. Others called her a hero with a dark past. But Nathan stayed quiet. He didn't post, didn't gloat, didn't hide either. He picked up Dylan from school like any other day. He cooked mac and cheese. He sat with his son during his breathing treatments. Because the truth was this, he didn't want revenge. He just wanted peace. But Evelyn, she didn't. Stay silent. A week after the article, she came to his door. No guards, no lawyers. Just her. Nathan opened the door and froze. Evelyn, he muttered. She looked exhausted. Her white coat was gone. She wore a plain black sweater and jeans. Her eyes were red, but dry. Can I come in? She asked. He stepped aside. They sat at the table. Dylan was asleep upstairs. You gave the files to the press, she said calmly. I did. Good, she said softly. It was time. Nathan blinked. You're not angry? I thought I would be, she admitted. But when I saw the article, I felt something I haven't felt in years. What? Free. He studied her. What happens now? She exhaled. Foundations will dissolve. I'll face the board, maybe even legal charges. But I'm not running. You should have told the world yourself. I tried, she whispered. But I was too ashamed. So I helped people instead. I thought that would be enough. Nathan looked down. Sometimes helping isn't the same as healing. Evelyn nodded. That's what your son reminded me. There was a pause. Then she reached into her bag and pulled out a smaller envelope. What's this? Nathan asked. An education trust for Dylan. College or whatever he wants. I don't need more money, Nathan said sharply. It's not from guilt, she said. It's from faith. I believe he'll make this world better, and I want to help him do that. Nathan stared at the envelope, then at her. I can't forgive your past, Evelyn, he said quietly. But I can't ignore what you did for my son either. She smiled faintly. That's more grace than I deserve. And then, for the first time, Nathan stood, walked over, and held out his hand, not in friendship, Not in forgiveness, but in acknowledgement. She took it. Months passed. The headlines faded. Evelyn disappeared from the public eye. But Dylan, he ran again. He laughed again. He lived. One night, as Nathan tucked him into bed, Dylan asked, "Dad, why did that lady help us?" Nathan paused, smiled. "Because once, someone helped her too, and then he turned out the light. And for the first time in a long, long time, the darkness felt calm."